स्वच्छता का देश में त्योहार करना है।
स्वच्छ भारत का इरादा इरादा कर लिया हमने, देश से अपनी ये वादा कर लिया हमने।
हमसे निकलेगी स्वच्छता की एक नदी, चल 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 कल 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 एक धुली सी जिंदगी। स्वच्छता की ज्योत लेकर घर घर जाएंगे, साफ सुथरी रोशनी में सब नहाएंगे।
स्वच्छ भारत का इरादा इरादा कर लिया हमने, देश से अपने ये वादा कर लिया हमने। ये वादा कर लिया हमने, ये वादा कर लिया
दरिया गुरूबे आफ़ताब मन खुदा रा दीदमी जा
In the heart of Srinagar lies the epitome of beauty and a welcoming feature, the Dal Lake. The Dal Lake has been a great tourist attraction in the past. Surrounded by mountains on one side and the city on the other, the majestic lake attracts locals and tourists alike. Stories are made and narrated in its interiors and on the peripheries. Stories of human love, happiness, sadness, and countless other emotions. Dal has a story of its own too. The story has mostly sad overtones as the lake is facing deterioration on most fronts. The Dal Lake of late has suffered tremendously due to anthropogenic pressures in the past few decades. It has undergone immense ecological changes. Waking up to the damages caused to the lake, many conservation measures were taken up by the management authorities over the past few decades. J&K Lakes and Waterways Development Authority, in short, LAVDA, an autonomous body, is the authority with the whole-time mandate to look after, manage and conserve the water bodies and waterways of the state of J&K. The lakes, Dal and Nigeen, form the core areas of attention of LAVDA. But the ecological condition of the lake continued to deteriorate despite all efforts. In many ways, it is still getting enriched with nutrients that promote the growth of weeds and is becoming more and more infected with microphytes. Several other kinds of pollutants too seep into the lake, and the water body is getting slowly shallower and shrinking gradually in size. The condition of the lake has deteriorated immensely despite being at the center of the Kashmir civilization, and as a result, it has drawn concerns for restoration. Due to various kinds of insensitive human activities, the lake system has shrunk in surface area and its water quality has deteriorated. The aquatic life has also been severely affected. Untreated sewage and garbage reach the lake from the colonies and business establishments around it. A few microphytic species have spread over vast expanses of the lake. Dull Lake has shrunk from approximately 24 square kilometers to 18.5 square kilometers, including areas dredged out along Northern Foreshore Road over the past 4 decades. Regarding the solid waste inflow issue, the remedial measure in hand is solid waste management. It needs to be known that about 10,000 cubic meters of solid waste is generated annually within the lake and its immediate periphery, which is collected through NGOs. The solid wastes are carried away for ultimate disposal by Srinagar Municipal Corporation. De-weeding of the aquatic plant species forms the core of restoration of the ecological balance of the water body, especially for human use, both socially and economically. The process and methodology of de-weeding has an age-old history. Natives of the area, especially dependent on the lake for livelihood, carried out the work of de-weeding manually by uprooting and trimming the weeds. Nowadays, machines are also used for this purpose. While there are many benefits of lake weeds and algae, extreme proliferation can cause many problems. When lake weeds cover more than 25% of lake surface, it is considered dense growth. This can interfere with water recreation such as boating and swimming. It can also interfere with fishing by producing foul taste and smell in the water. Most importantly, dense lake weed growth can cause major damage to fishes by depleting oxygen in the water, especially at night. Many species of lake weeds flourish when they take root in the underlying water. This can be prevented by creating steep banks on the edge of the lake that descend directly into deep waters. Consider constructing lake banks with a 3:1 grade that descends into a water depth of 5 feet. This is a useful guideline from preventing lake weeds from taking root. The lake should have a depth of 2 to 3 feet at the most shallow point. This will help prevent weeds from taking root if they continue to proliferate throughout the lake or pond. Lake weed proliferation is usually caused by an overabundance of nutrients in the surrounding soil. The runoff from fertilizer in the soil feeds these lake weeds and causes them to grow in large numbers. Creating a zone of 100 feet of grass or trees between the fertilized land and the lake to prevent running from entering the lake is an effective way of doing this. If there is livestock around, nutrients from their feed and animal waste may also enter runoff and cause weed proliferation. Building a fence around the livestock or keeping them at least 100 feet away from the lake's edge is advisable. Dull is taken with weeds. Azolla pinnata is an exotic weed that has become an obnoxious mess because of the regular discharge of the effluents into the lake. It blocks the sunlight to the lake's original flora and fauna, and because of this uncontrolled growth, the lake is facing eutrophication. Eutrophication is a process by which a body of water becomes enriched in dissolved nutrients that stimulate the growth of aquatic plant, usually resulting in depletion of dissolved oxygen. LAVDA carries out different operations for de-weeding of aquatic plant species that forms the core of the restoration process. The manual de-weeding drive provides employment to the local people who are the natives of the area and know about the lake thoroughly. For them, this lake is the only source of their livelihood.
Boom çineran dalmaz var ya. Kadan boom kadan, kur kadan, kınan patı öküz beyiz. Kur çineran emmaz. Kur çulagan çarvayan. Ölçü hoknavan ki boom ki hoknavan, kur ki hoknavan şu vandas pat kevan çarvay. Açır rapi dahmiyal şu şahras ma çarvay. Goyren iş vatan ebi ki dalıkıyor. Boom kur. गास डालुक यह वातान गोरन शहरस मज वातान वारियाहन जायन गसान छ अमिक रोजगार छ वारियाहन मिलान
बस कि ये कर शुक्र तस रबस कुन डल के खरा सोन रोजगार त पकान ना क्या ना वावन अक लट वावन वरी अक वज उम्र मज तो पे हर वज पाने फसल दिवान पाने तो वल नख अमी डल के खरात तो अथ नदर कस पे
डल क्यों चीज़ा कह चाक हम जमीन खुद डल मे बासान
The mechanical de-weeding is done with the help of different harvester machines. These machines, also known as lawn mowers, are both stationary and mobile. Although manual way is more permanent and provides employment to lake dwellers, mechanical machines can de-weed a larger area in less time compared to manual de-weeding.
वीड तो अभी ख़त्म होने का नाम ही नहीं ले रही है, दिन ब दिन ज़्यादा ही आ जाती है क्योंकि डल में अभी बहुत ही सारे लोग जो है हमारे इधर गंद काफ़ी डाल देते हैं डल में, उससे क्या होता है उससे वीड ज़्यादा आ जाती है। अभी हमारे जो हार्वेस्टर है उससे बहुत परेशानी होती है इसको कट करने में, तो मैनुअली अगर निकालेंगे तो वो पूरा जड़ से निकालेंगे और हमारे पास और भी 2-3 मशीनें हैं जिनका नाम है वाटर मास्टर, वो भी जड़ से उखाड़ती है, जड़ वड़ निकाल लेती है इसकी।
Once a significant lake weed issue is noticed, it's addressed as soon as possible, for continual overgrowth leads to more serious weed problems. The more the weeds are allowed to grow, the more expensive and time-consuming it becomes to address the problem at a later date.
इसको हम लिल्ली कहते हैं, ये बहुत ही खतरनाक चीज़ है। अभी डल में सबसे ज़्यादा खराबी यही करती है, ये अभी मशीन से भी कटती नहीं है, दबा रहे हैं, काटने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, मशीन भी भारी हो रही है, बहुत ही मुश्किल काटना है, इसकी तने बहुत मोटे हैं, हमारे ब्लेड इसको काट नहीं पाते हैं।
Motor-driven devices often leave cut-up weed fragments in the water. Now, weeds may grow from these pieces, so care is exercised when removing weeds this way. For surface algae in the water body, water pumps are used to circulate the top layer of water to prevent algal scum from setting. Lavda also carries out dredging in the lake, which increases the depth and thus becomes a barrier for the growth of new weeds. The weeds, after being plucked or moved by machines, are dumped into a yard and from there are distributed free to people to be used as manure and fodder. Also, to control the flow of the nutrients into the lake, the organization has set up 6 sewage treatment plants on the lake banks and are currently treating the sewage which flows into the Dal. The Dal Lake, that has been the center of tourist attraction for the state of Jammu and Kashmir since ages, had till in the recent past been damaged due to negligence and apathy of one and all. But considering its significance both from the point of view of its beauty and income generation that it has provided to people around it, the managing authorities of lake formulated proper ecological policies to save it from further deterioration. The process of conservation of the lake with all its environment components is underway in a sustained manner, and hopes of the lake's system being restored in a real ecological sense is looking up now once again.
दीदमी